Welcome to Pod to Win the Game. I am Charles Robinson, senior NFL writer for Yahoo Sports. He is Frank Schwab, resident naysayer and doom and gloom guy. He's going to crap all over everybody who played poorly on Sunday. It's early in September.
Even those who play well sometimes. You never know.
Yeah, even those who play well sometimes.
Just
Frank,
hurry up so we can get to this 49ers, because we are fired up. We were complaining to each other for 5 minutes. So
let's roll.
Go. I will set it up. The Broncos win 11-10. We just got done watching one of the uglier games of the NFL season. And okay, I'll put it out there. 2-1. They got the win. Russ came up with some big plays finally. But through 12 quarters, this Broncos team has not broken 16 points yet. They do not trust their quarterback. Russ looks very hesitant and lost. I don't know. This was a game they won, and that's great, almost entirely because of their defense here. There's a lot of problems with the Broncos right now. They do not look anything like a 2-1 team to me. The floor is yours to tell me how actually secretively great the Broncos are going to be by December, because I don't see it. I don't see this. This team is really, really, really struggling right now.
They are playing poor football offensively. There's zero. I'm not going to make any excuses for that. However, we're 3 games in, okay? And
3 games that's for a fifth-year season?
All I do is see on Twitter and hear out of Frank's mouth about how, oh my God, these, it's, I don't ever remember Frank and I sitting there in December on a Sunday night freestyle in December going, holy shit, man, remember that game back in September that just completely shaped the entire season? Oh my God, remember that conversation, how right we were about, no, it's usually, man, yeah, we were totally wrong. That was complete idiocy coming out of our mouths in September. Frank, I'm not going to argue with you about the offense. It's bad, okay?
I think the argument we're having, do you think it gets better? I don't know, man. I thought it's 2 games, and now in this game, I'm like, I don't think Hackett has any faith in his quarterback. There were play calls in this game where you're just like, is run, incomplete punt, like on his play card? Is that all they're going to do tonight? Like, there was 3rd and 9 at the end of the game. Less than 2 minutes left. And instead of having Russ throw, they just ran it up, give up run up the middle. I mean, remember Peyton Manning, Super Bowl 50, when Kubiak was on the sideline saying, just punt it away. Just punt. We don't, that was for Peyton Manning, 2015. They didn't want any part of that. That was Hackett tonight. He's got a guy they just gave $245 million to, and he's saying, run it and punt. Hey, the defense was playing great at that point. I get it. But you got to have 4th and inches, they punt. And all the first down runs. It is a coach that doesn't have any faith in either his quarterback or calling the right play to get some yards for his quarterback. And I guess my question to you, maybe where we differ here, how do you think this looks by December? Do you think we all thought, hey, Russ is going to throw for 35, 40 touchdowns. They're going to be a great offense, win the AFC West, or at least be contention for the AFC West. It looks nothing like that to me now, and I don't know how this really changes that much by December. Do you?
Yeah, I do.
So you think it's just Russ cooking by December?
A couple of things, okay? Number one, massive mistake by the Denver Broncos, but they're not the only ones who committed it, to not have taken more seriously getting your number 1 offense together in the preseason and playing some meaningful snaps. Okay? It was a huge mistake. I don't think there's any question about that. They're not the only ones to commit it, but they did commit it. And I think that is part of the reason why they look like dog water right now. Okay? I think Quinn Miners is their best offensive lineman. That people don't realize that, but he will come back, and eventually we will see he is by far their most dominant offensive lineman. I think the run game will get far better when he returns, just like the Dallas Cowboys in their heyday when Zach Martin was the best guard in football. The Cowboys said, we're running behind that guy. We're going to run behind him, and then we're going to run behind him, and then we're going to run behind him, and we're going to keep running behind him. I think when Miners comes back, that will improve, especially when they figure out Javonte Williams is their lead back. Continue to give him the ball, okay? Let him get into a groove, commit 20 to 25 touches a game to that guy. I think eventually they will figure that out. I think losing Tim Patrick was a bigger loss than I realized, okay, when I went through there. And you know why that is? Because I don't think Jerry Jeudy is ever going to become what I thought he could become on the NFL level. It sucks. I'm seeing it not just this season, but it was over the course of last season. I feel like I keep waiting for the bus that's never going to come. And that's unfortunate. I think that hurts this offense. I think Nathaniel Hackett is a bigger work in progress as a head coach than I thought. However, I do think, and he got clowned for this, which is unfortunate. I do think him deciding, along with the general manager, to go and get some outside help for him in terms of the game management was the right decision. And a lot of coaches ignore that. They refuse to do that in season because it makes you look bad. Like you were unprepared, or you didn't see the problem coming, or you're not fully ready for the job. Okay. The fact that they did it shows me something, because it's not an easy thing to do in an ego-driven NFL world. I don't think Russ is dead. I don't think he's done. I don't think he's cooked. I don't think he's finished. Okay. I think Russ stepped in with a coach who has a steeper learning curve than I thought, and now realized, and frankly, what I saw that encouraged me in the fourth quarter in that game was finally Russ said, I got to do something here, man. I got to make something happen. I have to. There is no $250 million quarterback in the NFL who does not at some point have to step forward into the void and go, maybe I need to start taking a little more of this on me and making things happen. I think Russ has to do that. I tweeted about the back shoulder throw was brilliant. He let go of that ball before it was even obvious it needed, at least to me watching, it needed to be a back shoulder throw. Then when it opened up mid ball, halfway there, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be an amazing throw. I saw little things that encouraged me. And that's not even talking about Denver's defense, which is without its best safety. Okay. I see things here that can improve, and I think will improve. I think they're really bad offensively, partially because they had a coach who had the luxury of Aaron Rodgers for 3 years that takes a lot off your plate, and a guy who's willing to grab everybody else by the throat when it has to be done and move the offense where it needs to go and coach young guys and all these 50 million different things. So it's not great. It's really bad. But I think they're 2-1, okay? And I can list off all the teams that are not 2-1 that would love to be playing football right now and be 2-1.
I get, yes, it's much better to be 2-1 figuring these things out. Defensively, they played great. Their defensive coordinator did a fantastic job. He's really, really creative, attacking some of the 49ers' weaknesses in protection. Thought they did well on that job. Russ did a great job on the one drive he had to have. He had to have one drive in this game, and he got it. It did. It looked like vintage Russ. But I just see a quarterback who's really hesitant. He's not seeing things well. And I just wonder with Russ, no, he's not totally cooked. That's not like he's going to be Geno Smith. He's not that bad. But you gave up 5 picks, 3 players, $245 million to get this guy. Is he 80% of what he was? Because that's not what you signed up for. You signed up for Russ that was tracking to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I just wonder, because he was a guy who played a very specific way, of course. Like, he's not your pure classic pocket passer. He made things. He's Fran Tarkenton back there, right? Making things happen, scramble around, keep your eyes upfield, make the play. Throw it deep, get that done. What if these things have been taken away from his game a little bit? Like, there was a lingering question in my mind of, why are the Seahawks crazy? Why would they do this? What are they thinking? In the back of my mind thinking, maybe they know something about Russ who we don't yet. And now I'm wondering, is Russ, because he played a certain style that's maybe not going to age as well as an Aaron Rodgers or whatever? I don't know. I don't know where he is. It's concerning the way he played in these first 12 quarters, really, aside from one drive. I just don't know. I don't know if he's going to be the guy that they signed up for. And I think that's the question.
It's odd to me that we don't accept that quarterbacks can switch teams, leadership positions, coaches, offensive playbooks, everything, entire organizations, and not be given the grace to grow into it. We went through this with Tom Brady, greatest quarterback ever, right? He's the consummate winner. He's going to have statues. His legend will far outlive both of us, our children, our children's children. 100 years from now, if the NFL still exists, we'll be talking about Tom Brady. But what nobody will be talking about is how when he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they had to get to a bye late as hell in the season.
Yeah.
With everybody going, this offense doesn't look right. It sucks. They're not scoring points. Tom's struggling. Why is he throwing interceptions? How come Arians is calling him out? All these different things. But we forget that because after that bye, they got their shit together. Things broke their way. They went to a Super Bowl, won a ring, made everything better. So now people look back at that season like it was all seamless. It wasn't seamless. There were horrible moments. Right. There were times where we looked at Tom. We were like, man, he looks pretty cooked. Can't beat New Orleans, that's for sure. Going into the bye, and the offense clearly doesn't fit him. And, oh, by the way, Tom had better talent around him than Russ does right now.
Oh, Tom, better, yeah.
Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Brown. Like, the offensive line, which was filled with all pro players his first year there. I mean, and yet we had to get to the bye before they flattened things out. Now, this is far worse than where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were. I would say the head coach is in a far worse position than where Bruce Arians was at that point. There's no question in my mind. But again, I think everybody needs to calm down and look at this game and go, okay, rather than just beating the living hell out of Nathaniel Hackett for another week, let's just make it 3 weeks in a row. Rather than, coming out and saying, well, maybe Russ is done. Rather than going, yeah, Jerry Jeudy just sucks and all the same things that keep getting regurgitated again. Maybe look at it and go, okay, there are a couple of things that went right that got a little bit better this week. They did play a defense that coming into the season, we all thought was going to be a pretty damn good team.
They were best defense football last half of last year, sure.
And stop for one moment and look across the line of scrimmage, because all I saw about the 49ers tonight was, oh, Jimmy G sucks again. There's Jimmy. There's that same old Jimmy G interception. And hey, maybe Trey Lance wasn't so bad. like 2 weeks ago, Trey Lance was, oh my God, what do we do? What a mistake. Oh, look at this is September in the NFL. This is what everybody does.
All right.
Everybody freaks out.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just saying. If Russell Wilson's not an elite, they signed up for an elite guy. I guess that's my only thing. Is if he's just going to be your 16th best quarterback in the NFL, and they're in that contract until 2025.
Yeah,
there's no way out. Then this was a mistake that really sets them back. I don't look, if Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't walk out of the back of the end zone tonight, they lose this game. And this conversation is a lot different. We're not sitting here saying, "Hey, relax."
Those are the breaks. How many times did they fumble at the goal line against Seattle? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so we can go ahead and play that game. I can give you all the breaks game. I mean, we can go throughout the league and talk about the number of teams that we'd look at differently if a couple breaks already 3 weeks in didn't look a little differently. I don't know, man. The Raiders played Derek Carr. They went and got Devontae Adams. They paid, Waller. What do the Raiders got to show for it? They're 0-3.
Zero.
Okay. They got nothing to show for it. Okay. I mean, everybody's just, I'm not even saying, and by the way, I have a multitude of sources that listen to this podcast who texted me today, killing Hackett, killing the Broncos, saying, like, one of them who's very, very close to the general manager there and said, was going after Hackett. I said, do you think George Payton made a mistake? He said he might have made a mistake here with this hire. They're going to disagree with me, but I don't know. Now I have tried to become the one who says in September, let's just calm down a little bit.
I never thought I'd live to see the day Charles Robinson is the voice of reason. I just never thought I'd see it. But I guess I'll try to get off this ledge. Maybe it's just living here in Denver because people are freaked out about, especially Hackett. And it kind of overshadowed, all the Hackett stuff kind of overshadowed the fact that Russ hadn't played great. And then tonight was just this is really, really ugly.
It's
you don't
concerning.
see Mahomes have games like this. You don't see, you don't see the elite guys have a lot of games like that. And it's 3 in a row. That's a problem for me. It's not one bad game. I try not to overreact to one bad game. I really don't. 2, probably not, but 3. And especially, they had 9 3-and-outs. 9. And I get 49ers are awesome in this game on defense. There wasn't much. They played really well. They said, Russ, we're not giving you the deep ball. You can have that stuff because we're going to rally to the ball and kill your ball carriers short of the first down. And it was a great game plan by them and D'Amico Ryans. But I'm worried. That's all. And I don't know if it's going to turn around and be what the Denver Broncos signed up for.
Coach can't coach scared. And I question whether or not there's something here. Yeah, I mean, I question whether or
A
not there's
lot of
something
first
here
down
where
runs. I mean, not even just like not going for it at the right time, but a lot of we're going to run on first down, we're going to run on second down, and we're just going to try our best on third down.
yeah.
That ain't the way you win in the NFL. And
I'm a little worried that he's inside his head. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's to be expected when, again, you have to go get somebody to sit in the booth and help you manage a game. But, you know, sometimes this happens. And I think they should let Russ open it up a little bit more. They should trust Russ a little bit more. Russ should trust himself a little bit more. I know nobody wants to see him
hesitant. Run. I don't know why. Yep.
I know people don't want to see guys out there running, getting hit, doing that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you what, that drive, when I watched that happen, I was like, that was the energy moment. That was it. There was none the entire game. And then this one drive, he made a couple plays, ran, complicated things for San Francisco's defense, which was used to just watching him sit there and do nothing. Hey, there's nobody open, and he's not doing the moonshots. And so they're taking these little bits and pieces. And yeah, so I mean, we spent a long time on this game, but it was a horrible game. I agree with you.
It was a bad game. Yeah. We can agree on that.
I don't think that this proves Trey Lance is a good player. I don't think it proves that Nathaniel Hackett is a terrible coach that Russ has done. I think there's just a lot of jacked up stuff right now. And I am going to be the screamer from now on about preseason football when you have wholesale changes and a lot of work to do. Start playing your players in the preseason, and maybe things will look a little bit better than they do right now in game 3.
All right, let's move on to the second game. I mean, obviously, this is a huge game in the AFC East. The Miami Dolphins win 21-19, and I didn't realize. I mean, I realized the Bills kind of outplayed them, but didn't win. And then I looked at the yards at the end: 497 for the Bills and 212 for the Dolphins. You're not going to see that much of a counterfeit win very often in the NFL. I didn't look. The Bills just screwed up a couple big moments. Josh Allen short arms one to Isaiah McKenzie when he was wide open in the end zone. They couldn't get the ball snapped at the end, and Ken Dorsey loses his mind in the press box. An entertaining game, but at the end of the day, like I'll take a page of your book here. Dolphins are 3-0. They got to win over the Bills right now. They have a couple divisional wins. I mean, do we think that are the Dolphins AFC East contenders now? I mean, I'll say no. I'll just be that guy and say I know they won today, but I still think the Bills walk to this division. But man, they got the win, and it's a pretty big deal for them.
I mean, definitely what I walked away from thinking this one, and it was funny because I think the offensive play disparity. What was it, like 90 for the Bills, and like in the 30s? It was something crazy. It was like
90 to 39. 90 to 39. Yeah.
Insanity. The time of possession is 40 to 20.
Yeah,
40
crazy.
minutes for the Bills. I think a couple of things happened here that it made me realize that you can question the Dolphins. I think they're better right now than we thought they would be. I think that on their better day versus Buffalo's worst day, they're capable of beating a team that maybe in a game like this with the stats skewing the way that they do, you shouldn't, necessarily win this game. I saw Buffalo players who were clearly struggling in the heat. Number of guys were having
that was a big issue. Yeah.
But I also saw Josh Allen, frankly, he threw a couple of balls that should have been picked. I mean, he got lucky. He had some interception luck in this game where definitely could have thrown some picks that didn't end up happening. Right. It's a weird game. My opinion of Buffalo does not change at all. I think they're a fantastic team that's capable of having a really bad game going into a climate where clearly physically they were not prepared to play in that heat. You just don't see that often. And even with not just linemen, like skill position guys, you can see we're on this. Yeah, dropping on the sidelines, just kind of really struggling.
But let me ask you this. The Bills last year were, I believe, someone could double check me, 0-6 in games decided by 7 or less. They either blew you out or they lost a close game. 3 games into the season, they had 2 blowouts, 1 loss in a close game. You talked about Josh Allen. Look, Isaiah McKenzie's wide open, and he just can't get his feet set in short.
Right.
Unbelievably missed it. Is there any concern? Is this just an unlucky thing, or is there some problem with the Bills winning close games? I don't think so, but at the end of the day, why can they not win any close games in the last 2 seasons? They got to make these plays.
Okay,
They got to get out of bounds. Ken Dorsey shouldn't be smashing an iPad up there. Like
he shouldn't.
It's concern. Well, he shouldn't in very, very many ways. But yes, I mean, like the game shouldn't end like that. You shouldn't. You can't lose every single game that's decided by less than a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're without two safeties who are difference makers. Ed Oliver's a difference maker. You know, there were even guys defensively who didn't play in this game. I don't think it's a full strength team. I'm not going to blame it on that because when you get to January and February, nobody's full strength at that point either.
Correct.
Yeah, you know, I mean, like again, I'm not going to. There's a long way to go in this season, and I can't sit here and look at what they did the first 2 weeks, as dominant as they were, and suddenly think, "Whoa, I'm alarmed." And by the way, Miami's playing over their heads right now. I don't.
They really are.
Do I think Miami's like a 3-0 team that has an ability to go 14-3 this season and be a Super Bowl contender? No, I don't. No. Do I think that they are better than I thought they would be? Yes, I do, and I do think some of the off-season moves worked. I think teams are having trouble with Tyreek Hill. I think teams are having trouble with Jalen Waddle. I think Tua's playing more confident now than I thought he was capable of playing. I also think he was concussed in that game. You can't convince me. I was going to ask
you, because you wrote about this. I haven't had a chance to read your story yet. I was going to read it after our podcast because I was watching that miserable Broncos game. What happened there? What do you think happened there? Because it seemed, look, we see a guy that was such a bad look, and you're like, wow, Tua's done. And then all of a sudden people are tweeting like, wow, Tua's warming up. He's going to play. And I was like, what? And then they changed it to a back injury. Is that correct? Like, I didn't see that exact tweet, but go for it, because you wrote about this issue. And I thought it's alarming when I see things like this happen in kind of the post CTE world.
So I'll tell you what I think the union has asked for an investigation of this. And I'll focus it through that. I think here's where the suspicion lies. The quarterbacks, there was a quarterback, I think it was a sneak before it, where he might have hurt himself. I mean, he got bent awkwardly. And then the following play was when he takes the push, falls flat on his back, and clearly his head hit the ground really hard. In a play that typically, when we see it happen, it's a concussion. Okay. He gets up. He's clearly wobbly. He shakes his head. I don't care what anybody says. If you watch the video, there's a little subtle shake of the head the second he gets to his feet. Not in a disappointment, in a sort of like, looks to me, cobwebs in my head. Yeah. Then he tries to take a step, falls down. Okay. He's aided off the field, goes to the locker room. By the time Mike McDaniel gets in there, now initially Mike McDaniel thinks it's a head injury, which to me leads me to believe he was told by trainers it's a head injury. Okay.
You don't come up with that on your own. Yeah.
Yeah. Never reaches for
Dr. McDaniel did not diagnose that. No.
At no point did he reach for his back. Okay. Watch him on the sidelines. I don't see anything. I don't see the word back. I don't see him touching his back. I don't see anything going on with his back. Okay. He gets in. He's had a little time. Okay. By the time he goes in to see the team doctor and the neurologist. Well, when Mike McDaniel gets in there, Mike McDaniel's told by Tua, no, it's my back. Oh, it's my back. I hurt my back in the play before, and I've seen it loosened up or it tightened up. I've seen two different descriptions of what exactly happened there, and that's why his legs were jello and he fell down. To me, and I think to people with the union, it looks like the suspicion is here's a player who wants to be in there, is having a pretty good start to the season, has a shot to beat the Buffalo Bills,
has durability questions.
He doesn't
want to be sitting out with those questions in a critical year in his career.
Hits his head, gets up, is not right. But by the time he gets off the field and into the locker room, there's an expansive time that takes place, and goes for the, hey, don't say it's your head. It's my back. It's Hines Ward grabbing his ankle. It's, do anything but say it's a head injury, because the second you say it's a head injury, you're done. No neurologist, the independent neurologist, is going to prove that. Team doctor's probably not going to prove that at that point. Now, I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm saying this is what the suspicion is, and this is why the NFLPA wants it looked at. He returns to the game. I didn't think he was super sharp in the third quarter, but then he came back. Like, as time went on, he looked like he got better. I will just say this. We've covered the league forever, okay? multitude of guys over decades and decades got concussions. Troy Aikman would get a concussion. You listen to Troy Aikman in the past talking about playing with concussions where it takes you a quarter or two or some time to kind of get your bearings, and then you're fine again. Not every concussion's the same. To me, it looked like a concussion. I'm not a doctor. Neurologist cleared him. I think there's a very good question for the league and for the union about, is it possible for players to just straight up lie about what the injury is, go through the concussion test, pass the protocols and find their way back on the field? I think that's a good question to be answered. Whatever the case, he played. The Dolphins won. We spent a long time on this one. I'm not going to take anything away from the Dolphins in this game. It's a game that they should have won statistically if we're just doing the box score scouting. No, but I'll bet you if we also look at some of the tape, we'll go, well, if they just hold on to a couple of picks, maybe they actually win by more than this at this point. Maybe it's possible that Buffalo played this game a lot worse than necessarily we thought. And Miami did deserve this game a little bit more. Let's move on. Like I said, we stuck on that one too long. Green Bay, Tampa Bay. This one, okay. The Packers win 14-12. This whole game to me, and we saw people on, Tony Dungy was talking about it in the primetime game. I mean, I agree with Dungy. He thought they had the perfect 2-point conversion play set up at the end. That Leonard Fournette was going to walk in. It sure looked like it when you looked at how it stacked up. They just ran out of time. Tom Brady was clearly frustrated, didn't get the playoff. I don't know what the miscommunication was there. I come away from this game feeling kind of like I did last week when we talked about Gronk and everything. I think this team can get better if I envision a team with Mike Evans back, which, by the way, you might have cost your team a game now.
Yep.
Maybe.
Oh, he did. I'll say he did. They scored more than 12 points with Mike Evans.
Let that sink in a little bit. But Mike Evans gets on the field. Chris Godwin gets on the field. I think Cole Beasley can actually be a good player for Tom. I do think that he can work in this offense with him. And I am not ruling out Rob Gronkowski, who was at this game, by the way, as a fan. I think you get that unit back together, see how the offense plays out. I think Fournette's looked pretty good. I still think there's a chance for this team to get better, but you're seeing some screw ups and clearing away Mike Evans missing this game proves a point why. I mean, this game might matter, Frank. This might matter.
Oh, yeah.
Was it worth knocking? And I was a fan of him going after Lattimore, but there is consequence, and this is what we'll be talking about. If they miss it by a game or they miss some home field or something happens.
Could be the reason they're playing at Lambeau Field in January. And they can win there. They've done it before, but to your point, it definitely cost them. I did a radio hit this week, and somebody basically asked, is Tom Brady 2015 Peyton Manning? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, really? Like, look at any offense without Evans, Godwin, Julio missed this game. Like you said, Gronk, Donovan Smith.
Oh yeah, Julio. I forgot about Julio.
Julio, right. Russell Gage is limping through this whole game. Obviously, Ryan Jensen is out. Ali Marpet's another guy who retired in the offseason. This is a skeleton crew, and of course, Brady is going to struggle here. He's not going to be lighting it up. Now, I mean, would you like to see him put up? Of course, but I'm not willing to sit here and say Tom Brady's looking like he's 45 years old. Like that just. No, I can't even get a fair assessment. Now, if all these guys come back and they're still scoring, if they're stuck on 5 points or whatever they had, in the fourth quarter, okay, then it's a little bit of a concern. But right now, it's impossible to get any read on the Buccaneers. That delay game at the end was, oh man. I mean, Dungy did a great job on NBC, like you kind of referenced, of saying they broke the huddle with 11 seconds left. What's you're going for two. You're down 8 points. Like what?
Can't have that.
What you're going for two. You need a play ready to go. Get it in. So they call this, but 11 seconds, they don't get lined up really. There's 8 seconds left, and you got motion coming, and Tom's got 2 plays, and he's killing one, and it's just that was bad coaching.
It's on Leftwich and Brady, right?
Absolutely. I don't even think it's on Brady because I don't know. I don't know. I guess I should say I don't know the exact timing of the communication or what happens, but I don't think they could have feasibly run that play in the amount of time they had. And I don't know if that's Brady being a little slow to the line. I don't think so. I'm putting this more on Leftwich or Brady. Maybe I'm wrong, But it was just it's a fiasco, and it changes your whole. Like you said, look, Fournette probably does walk in where from the 7-yard line, your chances of getting a 2-pointer are tough. It is really tough to score in that way.
I just think Brady at this stage of his career has practiced enough and knows what their best 2-point conversion plays are, right? Like, I mean, and if he's got to kill one, he should be able to call that and do it at the line of scrimmage. He should be able to control that situation if it's falling out of control elsewhere. Maybe there's some other things that happened that prevented that. I'm going to put him in the hot seat too with Leftwich. One of those guys, or maybe both of them, should have had a better grasp on this. But again, these people, like the Manning comparison, we can move on after this. The Manning comparison to me is ridiculous. Anyone who says that literally is not watching games because his arm looks fine. There's no question in my mind.
I think so.
And once again, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski.
Julio Jones. We're talking about maybe like a batch of 5 Hall of Famers.
Right but I'm just talking about from last season. If people just want to make that comparison from last season, they're scoring half as many points this year as they did last year. Literally, look at just those 4 players. It's stupid. It's stupid. Like, I will call these people stupid if you are trying to compare that situation with a better offensive line to Russell Gage, Cole Beasley, who you just picked up and was on practice squad 2 minutes ago. Yeah, I mean, like, come on, man. This is just stupid. Let's stop it.
I do agree. I mean, I will say one thing before we get out of just on the Packers. It was a little concerning that they couldn't put this game away. Now, the Bucs defense is really good, but man, it was 14-6 literally forever. And you're like, okay, this drive the Packers, and they just couldn't do it. We've questioned the Packers offense in this post-Devontae Adams world, and I don't know. It would have been nice to see them step on their throats and put this game away. They had a million chances to do it, but they got the win, and it's a win that will matter when we see these teams in early January. Let's move on to a really interesting game. Indianapolis Colts 20, Kansas City Chiefs 17. Jelani Woods catches a game-winning touchdown, I believe 30 seconds left, his second of the game. The Chris Jones penalty before that, where Chris Jones, I mean, they get a sack. They're getting off the field with about 5 minutes left. And Chris Jones says something to Matt Ryan. A flag comes out. Chris Jones, after the game, said, I didn't say anything. I was just having a conversation with him. Yeah, okay, Chris. You're just talking about dinner recipes and stuff. Come
but
on.
Even that,
the refs should not call that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, that's
no way. Unless Chris Jones said something really egregious. Like, I don't even know what he would have said.
Seriously, what could he have said? I just have never heard of simple trash talk.
Right.
Resulting in a flag.
He wasn't showing him up. He wasn't standing over him. It's just probably simple. Hey, get your old behind off the field, whatever, something along those lines.
I didn't see it as anything but trash talk.
How do you decide a game that way if you're the refs? I hate that. But at the same time, Chris Jones, he stood there in the locker room afterwards. I can't do it. I can't. I cost us. We were supposed to get off the field. That was the reason we were still on the field. And around the field the rest of that drive. I give him credit for being a leader and stepping up and taking responsibility, even if it was absolutely bogus call. Chiefs had their special teams issues. They obviously are missing Harrison Butker, as most teams will miss their Pro Bowl kicker. This is a huge win for the Colts. It was not pretty for them in any way, but they didn't want to start 0-2-1. I'll tell you that. 1-1-1 is okay. You all of a sudden we're talking about Jacksonville Jaguars a little bit. You got to worry about Jacksonville Jaguars. You're not trying to fall to 0-2-1. So to get this win as a pretty big underdog against the Chiefs, I thought it was a gutsy win for the Colts. And I know you don't think September matters. That's okay. That's fine. But you get in too big of a hole, like someone like the Raiders, who we'll talk about in a bit, or if you're 0-2-1 like the Colts, it could really, really blow up your season in a hurry. So big win for the Colts. Huge, no matter how it looks.
September doesn't matter when you got a winning record. Okay, when you're 2-1.
Okay, I got to put this down to the notes.
Hey, I did say 0-3 Raiders, right? Did I not? I mean, if you're 2-1, it matters a lot less. Anyway,
you're correct. You're correct.
I will say the same thing I said for the Broncos game. There are certain things with the Colts. I think Matt Ryan being emotional on the sidelines matters. It does. I think it does. To see him fired up, to see him amped, to see that he clearly It looked to me like he got a little something off his shoulder. I think he was bothered by that start, and he kind of had that out. It's a positive way, that outburst on the sideline, which I think was really a good thing. I do think they lucked out a little bit, the same way Denver lucked out a little bit, the same way Miami lucked out a little bit. In that, when you look at the touchdown that Kelsey drops, I mean, to me, Travis Kelce had an opportunity. He even said it afterward. I had an opportunity. You got to put it away. When you have your chance to do it, you got to do it. That was their chance. One other thing that kind of happened this game too, before we move on. I did think it was interesting to see Bieniemy. It wasn't like an argument at all. I actually just thought it was a typical like fired up coach, fired up player conversation at the end of a half. But it was interesting to see the dialogue go back and forth between Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes, to the point where Andy Reid kind of had to step in, and Mahomes described it afterward. He basically just said, "Look, I wanted to go for it. I wanted to. We still had a little time." Bieniemy's thinking the way a coach thinks. Hey man, let's just get into the locker room. Let's not make some big mistake here. Like, let's get in the locker room and we can fix it at halftime. And I thought it was interesting though to say Mahomes is like, basically, I'm paraphrasing here, like, I want to go for it. Like, that's who I am. I'm a guy. I want to go for it. It was just an interesting kind of little bit of a microcosm where you see play out between an OC and I would even say Andy and Patrick Mahomes, who all have known each other for a long time, done a lot of this, to sort of see them. I'm curious to kind of see as we move forward, because remember, we are living in a post first half of 2021, world where Mahomes was making a lot of aggressive decisions that were not always going the right way. And I wonder how that continues to shape the thought process moving forward, because I don't think he's changing, but I'm curious if the coaching staff is a little more reticent to just try to always jam it.
I agree with all that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, Baltimore, the Ravens beat New England 37-26. We can talk about a lot of different things in this one, but man, I'm telling you, the Mac Jones, I don't know. Ooh. He went to X-ray. We're going to find out where he's at, but man, he looked. I don't know a situation where there isn't something really bad that happened where you see a player react that way. I mean, he clearly was in pain to get off the field the way that he did. I mean, I thought in the moment when I was watching it, I'm like, oh my God, his ankle's broken. Like, he's just the way he's at.
Yeah. When Calais Campbell falls on your ankle and twists that way, it should be broken. Like, you must be drinking a lot of milk or something, man. Yeah. That thing
we've spent time in the room with Calais before. He is a massive human being.
He's the biggest dude I've ever seen. Yeah. I mean, just a massive, massive guy. But I mean, it sounds like it's a high ankle. That's a couple of reports out there. That's high ankle. Yeah. And high ankle is one of those things where they're going to say, oh, he could be back in 4 weeks, but you're never the same for 8 weeks. It's a little different at quarterback, and he's not a guy who relies on his mobility, but this is a bad injury. I mean, for a team that is 1-2 and has its offensive problems now, I'd be shocked if Mac Jones I'd be shocked if he's playing at all next week, and if he is, I'd be shocked if he's anything near effective, because this have you ever had an high ankle sprain, Charles?
No, I have not, but as long as I've covered the league, every guy I've seen, as you said, it's enormously painful.
I had one, and it was, I mean, weeks after you couldn't move quickly without pain. Like, ankle sprain, you get over in a week or two if it's a bad one. High ankle just lasts and lasts and lingers. It's a totally different injury. And so when you hear high ankle, it's just a different, like, this is not going to work out well for Mac Jones. If it is a high ankle, he's going to be compromised all year, and you wonder, like, how big of a hole are the Patriots going to dig themselves here?
And isn't a high ankle, isn't it like a microfracture? Like, isn't it?
Could be, I don't know. University of Wisconsin did not give you that medical degree.
I mean, I know that. Let me put it to you this way: go actually study the biology of a high ankle sprain. It's a lot worse than just the words high ankle sprain.
Yeah, it's much different. It feels 100% different than a regular ankle sprain. It's unbelievable. I will say, I do. I mean, obviously, the Patriots are in big trouble here. I will just, as I said, Lamar Jackson he is such a great football player. I don't care if you want to sit here and bang on him for how he is passing to the hash marks or beyond, to the sideline, or you want to talk about him being a pocket pass. You're stupid. You need to watch this guy play. He's an unbelievable football player.
Yeah, a lot of fun to watch, man.
He has 4 touchdowns passing, 107 yards of touchdown rushing against a Bill Belichick defense. Okay. Like, I don't know that they have the top end talent that they've had their great years, but Bill Belichick's a defensive genius, and Lamar just shredded them because he's a great Football player. He's absolutely in the MVP talk right now, along with Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. I mean, we're only 3 games in, but I mean, Lamar Jackson has 10 touchdown passes already. And we talked all offseason about he had no receivers. Well, he's got 10 touchdowns already. He's on pace for 50 some. He's not going to throw for 50, but he is just this uniquely unbelievable player. And man, those negotiations, whenever they pick up, I guess it's going to be off season, be really, really interesting because this dude is just built unlike anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, if this is where he's going, and you and I kind of thought like there's a chance he could nuke it this year. And it was funny because when you and I went through that talk, I was kind of like, well, the pieces around him, and you were like, no, man, he's the offense. Like that's not what you're understanding. It's like this is how it's built. And even John Harbaugh kind of said that after the game today, where he's just like, hey, look. This is him. This is how he wants to play. This is just get used to it. This is how the offense runs. He's the offense. I'll tell you this, man. Belichick loves him. Okay, like he's never gonna be as vocal about it outwardly as I think he is. I'm just telling you right now. Belichick loves Lamar Jackson. Like loves him. Thinks he's a great player, great quarterback, great leader. And I remember when Cam Newton was in his heyday, when Cam was at his peak, there was no better quarterback in the NFL. Belichick loved him. Was just like, that dude is a great player. I think that's part of why he brought him in late when Cam was a shadow of himself, all these things. Nothing's changed for me. I think he has the ability to play at an MVP level. I think he's playing at an MVP level right now. I think he's carrying that offense. They could very easily, if the defense had just stood up a little bit, be undefeated right now. I think he's got a chance to be the highest paid player in the game if he can extend this out through the remainder of the season. And I think you look, whatever your reservations are with him as a player, I don't think there's any question if he is healthy and playing like this, he's going to put points on the board. All you got to do is hold another team to 20 points. And you're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah. And the Ravens going to have trouble doing that because their defense really needs to get healthy. It is not a good defense right now. But Lamar and you can tell why Belichick would like guys like Cam and especially Lamar is that he's a defensive coach. And he knows if we execute our defense perfectly, this guy can still screw it all up.
Still beat us.
He can still beat us just by doing things that literally nobody else on the planet can ever do. I love watching this dude play. And he was awesome today. And the reason they won. Let's swing it to... I picked Jacksonville. I'll say that. I did not think Jacksonville was going to win 38-10 over the Los Angeles Chargers with Justin Herbert playing. If you had told me that score, I'd have said, okay, Chase Daniel took his lumps. I didn't think Herbert was really himself. He had one great throw downfield. I think it was to DeAndre Carter. Maybe
the kind of off the one leg one?
Yeah.
God, that was unbelievable.
Like, whoa, he still has those legs. But he didn't really look like himself.
No, I agree.
They never got their offense going. And all of a sudden, I'll say this. We all celebrated Brandon Staley most of last year. All of us, new age, go for the fourth down people. We loved Brandon Staley, and he won press conferences and stuff. He comes back this year, and he's made some awful decisions as far as when to kick, when to go for it, all that kind of stuff. Because I think he's a little bit shook off that Raiders game still at the end last year. And then somehow, his quarterback has fractured rib cartilage, which we all know hurts a lot. He's still in there in a 38-10 game in the last couple minutes.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Dropping back. Throwing to Austin Eckler, who you're trying to limit him to now after his workload last year. Brandon Staley just seems like he's just, I don't know, man. He's in his, you talk about being in your head as a coach a little bit. Maybe this, and his explanation at the end was like, well, Herbert said he wanted to keep competing with his guys. Who cares? That's not his call. You're the coach. You say, okay, thanks for the pep talk, Justin. Appreciate it. I'll let your teammates know. Go take a seat because Chase Daniel's mopping up this game. There's zero reason he should be in the game at the end. That was reckless. It was stupid. And I don't know, man. The Chargers, are they just charging again? Is that what we're getting? Or is the Jaguars that good? Like, what are we doing with the results of this game? Because this is a second straight blowout win for the Jaguars.
I think it's a bad matchup. I mean, I tried to tell you about Jacksonville's front, okay, defensively.
We went all the way over, man. Yep.
In preseason, I tried to tell people, like, this front is no joke. Like, when you watched them in the preseason, whenever they were together in the limited snaps, they were just wildly talented, aggressive. I mean, they looked like a defensive front that could change games. I did not see this coming. Now, that said, I agree with you. Herbert had the one throw, which I thought was amazing. Otherwise, it looked like he was a guy who was playing with cracked ribs. No, it wasn't all there. I would not want to match him against this defensive front when he's already hurt, which is really, if you're going to do it, hand the ball off, take your top two running backs and give them 40 touches. Like, do something to not expose him. I'm with you. I don't like I'm not going to bang on Staley. I don't know what that conversation was between he and Herbert. But that said, I do think at sometimes you have to make an executive decision that a quarterback's not necessarily going to like. And you have to say, look, man, sorry to disappoint you. You can call me a prick. You can do whatever you want. At the end of the day, I'm going to do what's right for you long-term and the team long-term. And that means not having you out there in the fourth quarter. I kind of felt like when it was 31-10, you roll into the fourth quarter. After their first drive in the fourth quarter, I was like, yeah, this ain't, there's no miracle here to be had.
No.
And then that's it for me. Like so I'm with you.
Real quick, where are we at on Jacksonville? I mean, we look as a team, because Trevor Lawrence, after week 1, I came on here with you and said, against a Commanders defense that has been exposed now, Jalen Hurts did that. We'll talk about him in a minute. And Trevor Lawrence missed passes. He didn't look good. I was like, oh my God, is Trevor Lawrence not the guy? Is he not that dude? Last 2 weeks, he's that dude. He looks fantastic. Looks like a different guy. I think I asked you this last week, or we texted about it a little bit. Do they win the AFC South? Who wins the AFC South? The Jaguars look like a team that might be taking that big Bengals 2021 type leap.
Defensively, if they play like this, they're going to be a damn really good team.
Good, right?
They're going to
Christian Kirk. I banged on that signing. He's been fantastic.
He's been what they needed. That it's and I'm with you. That money, I didn't like it. Even after I talked to somebody in Jacksonville, and he was just like, "Look, man, we got to overpay to get guys here, and we needed a speed guy for him." And I was like, "All right, well, got to do what you got to do." But no, he's actually been a very nice piece for them. The running back, rotation between Etienne and Robinson. I like Robinson a lot, by the way.
Did he really have an Achilles injury? Because my goodness, he looks better than ever.
Well, none of that.
How is that possible?
It drives me. I'll never get over Urban just doghousing.
Oh my God!
I never when Trevor Lawrence had to come out and he was like, "Look, man,
I don't know.
This guy's got to play. He's a good player for us." Like clearly.
Oh my God.
I love, so to me, look, if that offensive rotation, if the running backs stay healthy, the defensive front is what it is. I think in that division, they're going to be tough. You and I talked about it during the course of the week, right? Because I asked you, what are the odds? I said, hey, what are the odds on the Colts winning the division? Because I felt like they could turn it around. And you were like, actually, look at Jacksonville's odds.
Jacksonville's about 3-1, man. They look good. They look fun. They're fun, if nothing else. And thankfully for that, I'm glad Trevor Lawrence looks like that dude, because the NFL needs guys like that. And he looks a different player.
By the way, Frank, that quarterback class needs it, okay? Because
no kidding, right?
Fields, Lance, Mac Jones is now hurt.
Look at the Fields. Davis Mills is taking a big step back.
Zach Wilson's been bad. Yeah. Good Lord, we need somebody in that class to kind of lead the way a little bit, show the light at the end of the tunnel for the rest of these guys. They're a fun team. I agree with you. I'm going to enjoy watching them the rest of the season. The Detroit Lions blew it.
Yeah,
really thought they lose to the Minnesota Vikings 28-24. I really thought they had this game. I was just at various points. I'm looking at Minnesota, especially when Dalvin Cook went out with the separated shoulder. Even though I like Madison, I was like, "Hey, Lions, they got a chance here to go 2-1." And then late down the stretch, you basically lose a guy. That's what it basically looked like to me. Lose a guy in coverage, and it cost you the game. I don't know. I don't know what to think about either. Minnesota, Dalvin going down with a separated shoulder. And I know he wore the harness last year and he was able to perform well with the harness, the shoulder harness. But it's been a recurring thing for him. Makes me, a little nervous, particularly considering you have Kirk and Justin Jefferson, and I'm out there looking for someone like Thielen. I don't know I don't know if he just doesn't trust him as much anymore, or if it's just kind of lost a little bit. But offensively, for that team to go where I hoped they would be able to go, they can't limit it down to him throwing it to because he's going to force feed Jefferson. There's going to be more of those turnovers. It's going to be a bad game, a bad outcome for him. But
like Philly,
but I don't know. I absorbed this more as a Detroit loss. It was unfortunate. Detroit, I was like, man, the city of Detroit would be losing their minds if they start.
God, it looks so good. And then, Dan Campbell comes out. Late in the game, they have a choice. Go for it on, I believe it's 4th and 4, or kick a 54-yard field goal. And Dan Campbell chooses the field goal, which is just the wrong move. It's just the wrong move. I get it. You're trying to say, okay, if we make this field goal, we got to make a go the length of the field and score a touchdown instead of a field goal to tie. But even Dan Campbell in his post-game presser, before he was even asked a question, he was like, I'm just going to get it out of the way. I made the wrong call. I wish I'd gone for it. I should have been more aggressive. And he should have. He's a guy who he's an aggressive play caller, aggressive game manager, I should say. And it was unlike him to go for the field goal there. And it really cost them. It really, maybe they don't get it, but it's still, the field position game and all that kind of stuff at that point. It was just a wrong call. And
Frank, what do you have to lose? Come on, man. Like that's this guy's like motto, right? Like, don't we lost with all the hard knock stuff and like we're gonna leave it all out there and we're gonna don't be conservative, dude. Don't do that. You're coaching the Lions, man. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. It's a hard loss for them, man. It's hard to bounce back from this now. I mean, you're 1-2 and it feels like you scored 35 points in your opener and you lost. You led this whole game until 45 seconds left and you lost. Like, how are you feeling if your Lions at 1-2? You just probably feel like, okay, same old Lions. Oh, blah, blah. I mean, they've played a lot better, but to come out of this 1-2 at that loss, that was tough. They should have won this game easily. Let's swing it to the next game. Kind of the Tennessee Titans win 24-22. And my main takeaway from here is Raiders might be done. Like, I hate to say that 3 games in this season, but you're 0-3 in that conference. And I guess the division isn't as good as we thought. They almost went 0-4 today if the Broncos hadn't pulled it out. But, man, you're 0-3. It's not like your schedule's been that tough. It hasn't been easy, but Arizona looks like they're trash, and Tennessee doesn't look very good other than this game today. I don't know. Are the Raiders going anywhere? I mean, not a good start for Josh McDaniels. I'll say that.
No, I mean, look, 0-3 is... there's just too many times during this game where they had opportunities. I can't remember. I mean, it felt like it was pretty late in the game. Waller had an opportunity where I thought, he could have made a play that I think could have, maybe they win the game. It doesn't happen. It's definitely not been a consistent experience. The offensive line isn't going to get exponentially better. It doesn't even feel, honestly, let's be real though, it doesn't even feel like they're really committed to, we're going to run the ball consistently and try to protect Derek Carr, which is kind of what I thought. I was like, okay, they're going to try to at least run it. They'll rotate some guys and they're going to try to give Derek a lot of, easy completions. It feels a little disjointed right now. Tennessee, listen, here's the thing about Tennessee. I still think they do have some decent defensive players, okay? And I'm like, look, if Tennessee, not going to be what they were last year, but say Tennessee could put something together, I would tell you it's going to be defensively, and it's going to be, once again, getting Henry back into that comfortable space where you're starting to beat teams in second halves of games again. And that's kind of how this felt. Like, it felt like you're building into where Derrick Henry was when he was healthy.
Game script was good. Game script was meant, hey, we're just running Derrick Henry down your throat. We're not trying to come back from 20 points down against the Bills. This is Derrick Henry. You're going to get him over and over. You're right. And you know what? Vrabel's a good enough coach. I can see it. Vrabel's a good enough coach that if somebody's going to pull this team out of what we saw those first 2 weeks and drag this team to playoff contention, Mike Vrabel's one of those coaches that could do it. And this was exactly what's the blueprint you want if you're the Titans. Get an early lead, lean on them, play defense, Derrick Henry. This was the kind of game Tennessee's going to have to win over.
You can't, listen, man, you can't have Mac Hollins leading you. I'm going to just
What's wrong with what's the deal with Devontae Adams? Because last week was 13 yards. This week was 5 catches, 36 yards. They ain't paying. And Mark Davis, everybody made a big deal. Mark Davis closed our meeting with McDaniels after the game. It would not, probably wouldn't surprise either of us if part of the conversation had something to do with the fact of, hey, I paid a lot of money for Devontae Adams. Where's this dude?
Or at least what's going on?
What's going on? Yeah. What's going on? Like, why is this guy stuck on 7 yards a catch or whatever the math ends up being? Like that, it's weird because the first game you're like, oh, Devontae Adams, McDaniels is going to get this guy going. He's going to have this monster year. And he's been a ghost since. It's just strange. It's not that he even didn't get it. Threw him 10 times today. He just didn't make anything happen. And maybe that's on Carr. Maybe that's on McDaniels. I don't know. But something's just off with that whole connection right now.
All right. Well, let's roll through the remainder quickly. We really wore out our welcome, I think, with Brett on this podcast. The Rams, the LA Rams beat the Arizona Cardinals 20-12. I mean, look, if not for the craziness that happens last week, today, like this Cardinals team, I'm sorry, I just have a hard time believing that this isn't what this Cardinals team is.
Right.
Until DeAndre, I mean, maybe Hopkins comes back and that changes the dynamic a little bit, but it has not felt like a tremendously explosive team, albeit again, let's tuck away one half of one game. Okay. And Kyler Murray playing out of his mind for a small time frame and look at the larger balance of the season. If we're going to sit there and you're going to ask me how do the Broncos get better, blah, blah, all these things, I have to look at the Cardinals and question the same thing. Like offensively, they can't, they can't score when they, get into opposing territory. Way too many field goals today. And then, like, weirdly enough, I almost felt like there was a point where late in the game it would have been advantageous for them to go ahead and kick the field goal, get themselves, just in case anything happened, you're within 8 points, you can pull off. And they did get that opportunity, but the problem was they went for it on fourth and didn't kick the field goal. It feels very disjointed right now with some of the decisions that I think Cliff is making. I don't know that Kyler, I don't know. I don't know Kyler's, I do think he misses Hopkins. And then I look at the pieces surrounding. I mean, does he miss Kirk? Is it possible he misses Christian Kirk?
Guess. I mean, ways, but not like Cliff ever used Kirk the right way.
You're right. You're right about that. But I mean, did he?
It's almost like yeah. I just look. I've heard the DeAndre Hopkins thing over and over, and it's sure DeAndre Hopkins is a great player, but again, I hate to keep bringing up a contract, but your $230 million contract guy, a $230 million quarterback. You cannot say, well, I don't have a number one receiver. Doesn't matter. You're getting paid $230 million. Make something happen. You cannot go through a game like this with 4 field goals and no touchdowns. You just can't. You're at home. You need to make something happen, Kyler. And he look, his highlights are unbelievable, but on a down-to-down consistency basis, especially this year, he has not been good. He was not good this game. Made nothing happen. And I think Arizona's just bad. I think they're just going to be bad this year. There's nothing that leads me to believe that DeAndre Hopkins is going to lead some kind of renaissance. DeAndre Hopkins is already kind of fading away a little bit last year. So let's swing it to just, I don't have much to say about Cincinnati 27, New York Jets 12, other than the Jets have been good for 2 minutes all season. Those 2 minutes led to an unbelievable comeback win against the Browns. In the other, if I'm going to try to do math here off the top of my head, 238 minutes of the year, they have been dog awful. And I worry that Robert Saleh is not going to make it past the season. I know he doesn't have his quarterback. That quarterback wasn't any good last year. Not like he's some savior. I don't know. Maybe he's going to be great this year. I think this Jets team has been absolutely positively miserable. We're 20 games right now into Robert Saleh's career, and there's nothing positive in terms of progress in the New York Jets.
Defensively, I mean, that's to me, if we're going to talk about the, Robert Saleh's entire career, defensively, I wanted to see this team definitely take some big strides. It's frustrating. I think you get to this point. Quinn Williams is like arguing with, I think, his position coach at one point in this game. I saw that footage, which, again, I'm not going to lose my mind over that. I mean, he got pissed. The coach got pissed. Guys have words in the NFL. It just happens. But yeah, I mean, from a consistency standpoint, from a build standpoint, like I'm still waiting for that sort of punch it through moment. And it was, it was kind of funny, like Joe Flacco was putting up. I mean, just the numbers. When you just looked at Joe Flacco,
52 passes again.
When you just look at the numbers, you're like, man,
here?
Yeah, there's a reason why he's throwing for all this yardage. There's a reason why, because he's just, I mean, great little flourish here for Joe Flacco, but to me. Look, what this really rests on, and this was the news of the day, and it kind of made me forget the game for at least the Jets. Zach Wilson's coming back. Okay, that's the expectation that he's going to roll again. I think, it looks like he's going to play next week. I think that's the hope. If he comes in and shows positives, I mean, like to me, that's what the season was all about.
The whole
anyway.
outlook of the Jets.
Yeah,
entirely. I give you that. No problem.
That's what this is about to me. And by the way, it's not like there haven't been other little bright spots. I mean, Garrett Wilson's a really nice player. I mean, okay, so let's get the future back in there. Let's see what the offense can do. But yeah, I mean, defensively, if you're going to sit there and decide, do we keep our head coach based on the effectiveness of the defense, the growth of the defense? Probably not, in a great spot right now.
I mean, the offense has been trash too. Like,
I know. Yeah, I know that.
I mean, like, there's just nothing.
But the kids,
nothing positive.
The offense, I don't even look at the offense because the kid's not in there. Like to me, that's the whole measure of everything.
Fine. And if I'll say this, if we get to the end of the year and Zach Wilson has played however many games and there's some spark, there's some competitive, like last year when they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they should have won. If there's some of that late in the season, even if losses, I'll say, okay, there's progress. I feel better about the Jets at the end of the season. Right now, I feel like the Jets are the worst team in football. And it's just, they're just awful. They're just, at least the Texans show some fight every week. Like Seattle beat Denver. Like, what have the Jets done other than, again, 2 unbelievable minutes when they came back against the Browns?
All right, moving on. I actually think the worst team in football is Washington. Philadelphia beats Washington 24-8. I don't understand how Washington's offense can be this bad. This game, just watching it, I was mystified how bad Washington's offense is. It should never be this bad. You know, I'll just say this about Philly. Number one, I don't know what to, I mean, like Hurts. I don't understand. Like Hurts is throwing the ball downfield in a way that I didn't even realize he could do. Yep. And like I'm like having to reassess. When they drafted him, all I was told was he'll never be able to throw down the field effectively. People question, well, really is his arm strength adequate enough or whatever? I'm looking at him like, I don't know. This dude looks pretty good. I don't know if is this. I want to say it's real. It looks real to me. Like he looks great. The team looks awesome. Like I don't know what it is that's sitting. I think it's just because I listened to the soundtrack for too long about what he can't do, why he had to transfer out of Alabama. It was this offense that Lincoln Riley ran, all these different things, and that just got like pounded into my brain. And then when I watch him, I'm like, God, none of this seems to match up. This growth doesn't seem to match up with what I feel like that. My only complaint about Philly, I'll be honest, and he's on my fantasy team, so it really shouldn't be a real complaint. I think Miles Sanders is a better player than his usage, but that's just me.
I'll note that. I'll call Nick Sirianni tomorrow and be like, hey, Charles needs you for a Super League team.
Maybe a fantasy complaint. I'm not going to lie. It might be a fantasy complaint.
It might be a little bit. On Hurts, he's like the bizarro Justin Fields where the Eagles have put a team around him. They have the best one of the top 3 offensive lines in football. I'm not going to go ahead and rank them. And they got it. Dude, I mean, Devontae Smith is a number 1 on a lot of other teams. Not most, but a lot of other teams. And he's a number 2 on this team because they got A.J. Brown, who's awesome. Those catches Devontae Smith made and back-to-back, really deep down the field and then touchdown. It's like, that helps your quarterback so much. Yeah. And just to have him get Jalen Hurts has the confidence to throw that ball. Jalen Hurts is like, yeah, my guy's going to go get it. And he did. And I'll tell you, you asked at the top of this, how is Washington's offense so bad? Washington's offense had scored 27.5 points per game the first 2 weeks. Washington's offense looked that bad because the Eagles' defense is that good. Yeah. I know. Yeah. The Eagles' defense. Everybody freaked out after week 1. Oh my God, the Eagles' defense stinks. Why? Because they gave up a couple garbage touchdowns to the Lions, who actually end up having a pretty good offense. The Eagles' defense is now completely shut out Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, who aren't that bad. I don't think they're not great, but they're not bad. And completely shut down the Commanders. That first half performance was unbelievable.
Their secondary
Washington
is nice.
had 50 yards. Washington had 50 yards at the half, and they're not that bad on offense. I'm not saying they're the 99 Rams or anything, but they're not that bad on offense. It is the Eagles have a really, really good defense, and that is the best team in the NFC right now.
Their secondary is so
awesome.
Nice.
The front seven is awesome. They have talent everywhere. They're really, really
good. I said Gannon's going to get a job. Like I'm not.
They're well coached. There's no reason to believe the Eagles are not the number 1 team in the NFC right now. That's the truth. And the Bucs are going to get healthier and the Packers are going to figure things out.
I don't have any problem.
But the Eagles, right after 3 games, right now, the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. They are, and I don't think there's any reason, because what if, as I wrote the end of Monday night when I covered that Vikings-Eagles game, what if their quarterback isn't just a weakness? What if their quarterback's a strength? What if their quarterback's an asset all of a sudden? And he sure looks like that.
And he looks like it. Like he said, he does.
If you voted on MVP right now, Jalen Hurts would get votes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in the league, but he could get MVP votes if we did that now after 3 games.
Listen, man, I'm straight up, like, of all the players that, and I know we got to move on here, but of all the players this season that I've watched, who I've been delightfully surprised and like watched and been like, man, this guy is really good. It's been Hurts. Like he's definitely, awesome. And I've watched all 3 of their games and I've been absolutely, I'm buying into him really making real stride. And it makes me actually hopeful for when you feel terrible about Fields or some of these other players where I'm like, Lance and some of the guys that feel hamstrung earlier in their career. This is a guy who, if this works out, if this trajectory is real, I would send some people to Philly and be like, okay, what has made this growth happen? How can we replicate this with another player?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Let's swing it. We don't need to spend much time on Atlanta 27, Seattle 23. I mean, whatever. Kyle Pitts finally gets involved. Geno's kind of who we thought he was. Seattle loses to Atlanta at home. I mean, we know these teams aren't very good, but at least Atlanta's been, I guess, competitive in all 3 games. Seattle just looks pretty bad to me. And I mean, this is a game between 2 bad teams. Atlanta gets a win. They don't got to worry about where first win's going to come from.
The drone game.
The drone game. That was so weird. Whoa, that's scary.
Well, when they first stopped it, they didn't tell you right away that they were stopping it. They said there was a stadium issue, and they didn't tell you it was a drone. And like it was the scary thing was my thought process went to, and this is probably a statement on how crazy things have been. I was like, is there like an active shooter? Like what's going on? Like, oh my God. I'm like, is there something terrible? Like they're not telling people because they don't want them to panic. And then they're like, oh, it's a drone. I'm like, dude, like, oh my God, like say that up front. There's a drone. Like, or, we can't have this drone flying over the stadium. Anyway. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything other than like USC had a couple damn good receivers. Like between Amon St. Brown and Drake London are 2 absolutely legit NFL players, and I don't know what the hell is going on there with those guys. So, swing it to Chicago. Chicago's 2-1. Okay, they're 2.
Oh yeah, there's a 2-1, Charles.
They're 2-1.
There's a 2-1. Let's get excited about these Bears, baby.
Yeah, about as ugly as you can get there, notwithstanding Denver, right? Oh, Denver. 23-20 over Houston. Khalil Herbert.
He's good. He's a good player.
That was crazy. Like Montgomery goes down, and next thing you know, you're like, wow, this dude is like, he's got wheels.
Khalil Herbert with a $157 and 2 touchdowns off the bench.
Feed that dude.
Yeah, man. I will say, I think we do need to point out that Justin Fields' line in this game, 8 of 17, 106 yards. No touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a 27.7 passer rating.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much I like him as a player. I'm not going to give that up. I just think this Bears team has no faith in him. I think they've done nothing to build around him because they have no faith in him. Their play calling shows they have no faith in him. I can't tell, though, if Justin Fields just isn't that good or he's just stuck in the worst situation in the
NFL
tough for a quarterback.
It is a tough assessment. It is. I mean, I'm with you. Like, I watch. I mean, here's the thing. His big plays, though, I don't see. They're definitely not happening with his arm. Okay, like the plays where I'm just like, whoa, like it is very much he's running. And again, this is why I keep going back to Hurts. But there was a time with Hurts where I was like, ooh, what I really like about this guy is he has this ability to manufacture a big play. He can kind of break a defense in a given moment. Fields I think is a little further behind than where Hurts was when Hurts began starting for the Eagles. But again, then I look around and I'm like, God, I don't know. Like, what can I really blame this guy for? What's going? I don't know what to think about Fields. Like, part of me is. There's definitely part of me that is worried that Justin Fields is actually a really good prospect who's just been completely destroyed by where he ended up landing in his circumstances. And
it's arguable he could have the worst line in the NFL and the worst receiving core in the NFL at the same time. Like how is that even possible? Chicago, do something to help this kid. At least get an assessment. At least at the end of the day. Yeah. At least at the end of the day, if you want to go in a different direction, at least you can say, hey, we did what we could. He's not that dude, and we're set up okay for the next guy.
And you know what? If you're going to bail on him, I know this isn't how it works in the NFL, but man, send him to some place that has got an ability to get a good look at the kid. That's honest. That has something around. It does not.
I'll tell you this. I'm not saying the Bears are sabotaging him, but everything screams that the Bears do not want this guy. It's just, what have they done to make him better? One thing the Chicago Bears have done. They hired a defensive-minded head coach who just wants to run the ball every single down because I guess he's from the Stone Ages. They got no offensive line help. They didn't draft any offensive players in the first, I think, 100 pick. The first couple picks they had, whatever. They were both defensive players. Good defensive players, but defensive players nonetheless. Their play calling just screams out, we would be happy if we could run the ball every single down and never have this kid throw. Nothing the Chicago Bears have done indicates that they want this kid around. And it stinks. It stinks because I want to see him succeed. I think he's a good player. He's getting no help whatsoever. Let's swing into the last game, which was a really ugly game. Carolina wins 22-14. It wasn't even really that close. Is New Orleans sneaky bad? I mean, it seems like we're getting old Jameis back. There were a couple picks. He threw it around the yard a little bit, had some plays, but he was just forcing things. The offense really wasn't there. Baker Mayfield stunk in this game, but they somehow get the win. Laviska Shenault, like, oh my, he was running down the sideline. I'm like, who in the heck is that? And then they say Laviska Shenault. I was like, wow, he's alive.
Frank, I don't listen, like, fine, Jacksonville didn't want him, whatever. I don't really care about that. I swear, I hope it doesn't end up being like Cordero Patterson, where it's like we go years and years and you're like,
oh yeah, he's a good
like,
comp, yeah.
He breaks a play here and there and we're like, holy shit, he's fast. Oh man, he can, man, it seems like how come teams can't figure out how to use this guy? And then all of a sudden, like 7 years later, some coordinator's like, oh yeah, we actually know how to use this guy. He reminds me of Cordero Patterson. And I thought the touchdown was a perfect example of just get him the ball, get him a ball in a good space and give him an opportunity to make it. That guy that I watched, he had 2 catches, let him touch the ball 10 times, see what happens. Just let him touch. I think he could do, and look, it's not that there's not other good players in Carolina. Obviously there is, but I actually do think he could help considerably. And I think that touchdown was a good example. He's got tools. And when he was at Colorado, everyone was like, he's going to be that dude. And then,
I thought he was too. I thought he'd be that dude with Jacksonville. It just never happened. So maybe, but yeah, I don't know that I trust Baker Mayfield to get anybody else. You can't get DJ Moore involved. You can't get Christian McCaffrey the ball in the passing game. I don't really think he's going to support Laviska Shenault's breakout. So Baker might be bad. And the Saints might be bad. I'm going to be your naysayer. I'm going to finish this thing up by just being the naysayer you want me to be. This was a game between 2 bad football teams, honestly. Like, Carolina got the win, huzzah! But you aren't any good either. It just means you could keep Matt Rule around a couple more weeks than you should have.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I'm again trying to be myself here. I'm trying to hold on and not bury. But yeah, it's dispiriting to see how Carolina has started. It's dispiriting to see Jameis kind of be Jameis. So what I'm trying to do is
taking a step back without Sean Payton.
I'm trying to focus on Olave. I'm trying to focus on Shenault.
You are Mr. Positivity. When I think of you, Charles, I'm like, that is sunny. Always sunny.
I'm trying to focus on some other guy. Who did you lead winners and losers with? Let's get out of here. Brett's going to kill us.
It was the Eagles defense, just because I'm taking my victory lap on saying the Eagles are going to make the Super Bowl, and they look awesome so far. Yeah. Eagles defense look great. The offense looks great. There's no weakness on this team, especially Jalen Hurts is going to be that dude all season. Man, they're fun to watch. I really like the Eagles.
Yeah. Well, I ended up, as you said, I wrote about Tua and the fact that the PA is trying to determine what exactly the sequence of events were that ultimately led to him going back into the game. I'm telling you, this is a fascinating topic, whether or not players have figured out, and I'm not saying Tua did, but I'm very curious in general about whether or not players have kind of figured out, if I want to stay in the game, is there a formula to figuring out how to stay in the game? If I'm not just unbelievably, concussed, if I'm, throwing up on the side, can't stand, like, obviously I'm not going back in, but I'm wondering if there's a lower grade concussion where players have kind of figured out, hey, here's the calculus of how I
say my back loosened up or tightened up or whatever.
Or tightened up or whatever.
both at the same time.
He said at one point, he said, this is pretty close to what he said. I passed whatever protocols, whatever the concussion I was like, what do you mean, whatever? Like, whatever. Wasn't it something specific? Like, didn't you go specific? Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, well, tune in Wednesday, by the way. I'm sure we're going to have more Brett Favre stuff to talk about.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
Man, it gets worse and worse.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Anyway, you can get Frank on Twitter at Yahoo Schwab. You can get me at Charles Robinson, Brett Rader at Brett Rader. Check out the mothership at Yahoo Sports. Help us keep Therese Paylor's legacy alive. BreakingT.com/Therese for the all juice tee or hoodie. Remember, when you go to purchase those, all of the money that you put in goes to support the Therese Paylor Scholarship at Howard University. And you can also contribute directly to that scholarship or the scholarship in his name at Power Mizzou if you check out our podcast description. please leave us a 5-star review. Please tell a friend about the podcast. And please come back Wednesday for the next episode.